Today I'm doing a head-to-head comparison of two high-quality barefoot style running shoes, the Xero Shoes Mesa Trail 2 and the Vivobarefoot Primus Trail 2. If you're going to go out and spend your hard-earned money on one of these two pairs of shoes, which one should it be? Let's get into this. There are 6 categories that we'll be using to compare these two shoes: shape and fit, aesthetics, traction, flexibility, build quality, and overall comfort. Even though both pairs here are men's size 12 and they're both barefoot style zero drop shoes, the differences in their overall shape and the way that they fit are significant. And to illustrate those differences, I'd like to show you their footprints. First, we'll trace the Xero Shoes Mesa Trail 2 using a blue marker. And now we'll trace the Vivobarefoot Primus Trail 2 using a red marker. Notice that the outline of the Primus, the Vivobarefoot shoe, is significantly wider in red than the Xero shoe in blue. What's interesting is, looking at the insoles, first the Vivobarefoot insole and now the Xero, you can see that they line up almost identically on top of one another, despite the fact that there's so much extra material indicated in red sticking out on all sides from that Vivobarefoot shoe, and that extra material does translate to the scale. So you can see here the Xero shoe weighed in at 9.21 ounces and the Vivobarefoot weighed in at 12.56 ounces, meaning that the Vivobarefoot shoes weigh about 25% more than the Xero shoes. The winner in terms of shape and fit is the Xero Shoes Mesa Trail 2. Not only are they much lighter weight, but they're more precisely cut, which leads to a very nimble feeling on your feet. In contrast, the Vivobarefoots have much more material, they're significantly heavier, which leads to a very bulky and almost clumsy feeling when you're walking around in them. From an aesthetic standpoint, the Xeros are a little bit more rugged looking. They look like you're going for a hike, whereas the Vivos are super slick. The aesthetics of this shoe are beautiful. The lines are pretty, the colors are nice. All the styling cues on this shoe are fantastic, and that's one of the main reasons I went out and bought it. In terms of aesthetics, the obvious winner here is the Vivobarefoots. They're just a better looking shoe, and they look much more at home whether you're walking around town or jogging around on the trails. The tread on the Xeros is fantastic. Nice deep treads all the way from the front to the back. Never lost traction with this shoe. The treads on the Xeros, also very good. Not quite as deep, but I never lost traction with this shoe either. When it comes to traction, it's a tie. Both shoes are absolutely fantastic. I never lost my grip even once, no matter what surface I was walking on, regardless of which of these two shoes I was using. The flexibility on the Xero shoes is a dream. They bend from front to back equally in all sections of the shoe, in all directions. Fantastic flexibility. On the Vivobarefoot, not nearly the case. They have one bend point here. The forefoot is very stiff, and this section where the tread wraps around is extremely stiff. They're not nearly as flexible as the Xeros. There's just no question that the flexibility of the Xero shoes is much greater than that of the Vivobarefoots, and because of that, I gave the edge to the Xeros in this category. But to be fair, if you were looking for a barefoot shoe that was more supportive to kind of bridge the gap between a traditional shoe and a barefoot shoe, it's possible that the Vivo would be a better choice for you here. As far as build quality goes, both shoes are extremely well built, but for the slight differences for who takes the edge in this one, it's best if we go look at the shoes. These Xeros are extremely well-built shoes. Just look at where the sole meets the upper at that junction. There's not a single gap in there anywhere around the shoe. No signs of glue. Look at where you have different materials coming together. They all blend absolutely seamlessly from this dense rubber into this breathable mesh. Very, very nicely done. Nice lace retention. You have vents all the way to the back of the shoe. High breathability, one-piece sole, super durable, and when you peek on the inside, you can really see the quality of construction. Just look at the stitching there on that inner edge. All the materials come together with no drop-offs and no edges in there. Great stitching on both sides. These are really designed with comfort in mind. Very well done. The Vivobarefoots are also extremely well built. Look at the seam where the sole meets the upper. Very well done. One-piece sole, super heavy duty. Very nice materials all the way around. Nice blending of different materials coming together with no seams. Reinforced stitching here and on the inside. Very well done. They're making sure that the shoe is not going to come apart and feels like it's going to last forever. Fantastic lace retention. Way less venting. The foot sweats a lot more and gets a lot hotter in these shoes. Tongue is the perfect height, but when you peek on the inside here and you see the stitching here and here, you can see that it's not quite as good attention to detail, and you have this really steep drop off right in here as we go from this material in the back portion up towards the front portion of the shoe. There's a drop off that's about 2 millimeters with kind of a sharp edge to it on the outside and the inside, which ends up rubbing up against the foot. And despite really good build quality, it just seems like they didn't have the comfort of the user so much in mind when they made these. Despite the fact that both of these shoes are very well built, the edge here is going to go to the Xeros. You can see when you look closely that the attention to detail is just a little bit better on those. I was sort of hoping that there would be one of those tense showdowns between these two shoes at the end of the video, with overall comfort being the deciding factor. But when it came to comfort, there was one feature of the Vivos that ended up making this decision super easy for me. Let me show you. The one feature more than any other that sealed the fate of these Vivobarefoot shoes is this hard rubber material that was chosen for the inner and outer portion of the upper as part of their lace retention system. And while it does a fantastic job of holding the laces in place, it is rigid and inflexible. And because it matches up with this extremely soft and thin material here in the center, and because the shoe is really only flexible in this center section, it means that every step that you take, this hard and in some cases sharp material is digging into your foot with almost no protection. And I have to say that that makes these shoes one of the most uncomfortable pairs of shoes that I've ever owned in my life. And that's the reason why they're going back to Vivobarefoot. The overall winner here is the Xero Shoes Mesa Trail 2. Not only are they lighter, more flexible, more breathable, and way more comfortable than the Vivobarefoot Primus Trail 2, but they're less expensive as well. Now, this is by no means a knock on Vivobarefoot as a company. I've owned multiple pairs of Vivobarefoots in the past, and they've all been great. But the Primus Trail 2 is a miss, and this design either needs to go back to the drawing board or be thrown in the garbage. If you're interested in seeing the many fantastic offerings from Vivobarefoot and from Xero Shoes, I'll put links for both of them in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button before you head out of here, and I'll see you next time.